Hi everyone. As is the theme with everything these days, I'm wishing I could be providing you this workshop in person, but as usual, we roll with the punches and we're doing it virtually. So I am here today to talk to you a little bit about budgeting your COVID-19 stimulus check. So without further ado, let's get started. As I'm sure you've heard by now, the government passed the CARES Act at the end of March, which is the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. So it provides a variety of support to individuals and groups across the country for things such as small business loans, bank bailouts. It expanded access to unemployment, and what is most relevant to you, especially in watching this video, it also is providing one-time stimulus payments to individuals. So there might be a lot of questions around whether or not you're eligible, when you'll get paid, etc. We have some other content that I have already shared, and I will link again at the end of this video and also in our DC COVID-19 resources list. But basically, you likely are eligible if you filed taxes in 2018 and made less than $75,000. And you should get paid soon. So payments started being distributed supposedly this week. So, you can see that money anytime in the next few weeks, which is why I'm sharing this video with you now. And again, if you filed your tax returns in 2018 or 2019, that's how you will receive your payments, whether that's through direct deposit or getting mailed a check, whatever that might be. So again, there's a few other videos about whether or not you qualify, how to get this payment if you didn't file taxes, for example, but you might qualify, or if you're not sure if you qualify, there's a lot of resources. So if you're asking any of those questions right now, I would recommend going to those resources first and then coming back and watching this video kind of once you get all of that sorted out. Once again, I'll make sure that I link to those resources at the end of this video and in the DC COVID-19 resource list. But for now, if you are eligible, if you are all set and know that you are going to receive your payment, then we will get started in talking about some budgeting. So just wanted to provide a few notes to get us started. In a stressful and an anxiety-ridden time, it's okay to feel excited about this. It feels a little weird or a little backwards, maybe, our world looks so different these days than it did even just a month ago. And it might feel a little bit weird, or you might feel a little bit bad about being excited about getting this check. And I just want to first of all give you permission that it is okay to feel excited. It's a significant, unexpected payment that none of us were really expecting. And so that, it's a silver lining in all of this kind of craziness right now. So just wanted to remind you that it is okay to feel that way. But that said, we should also budget this money intentionally. So it's not necessarily $1,200 of free money. While yes, it was unexpected for sure. We want to think about this in the same way that we think about budgeting in general. And we want to, use it wisely and use it well, and also use it to take care of ourselves. So we're going to be using framework that the DC chapter uses in our financial literacy courses. So if you have taken that course already, then great, this will be familiar to you. If not, I'll give you kind of the rundown. And then once we're able to be back in person, you will get to experience this framework for yourself. So to get us started, we are going to talk about some goal setting. So again, if you've taken our financial literacy course, you know that our wonderful instructor always starts the first week by giving homework, and that is to think about your goals for the next 6 months, 1 year, 3 year, and 5 years. So we're gonna kind of pare that down a little bit, and we're just gonna think specifically about your goals for the next 6 months and the next year. So this doesn't necessarily just have to mean your financial goals. Obviously, finances are tied to pretty much everything that we do, but I challenge you to think about your goals independent of receiving this check. So think big. What is it that you want to be doing in 6 months, or where do you want to be in 6 months or a year? And also, as a reminder, we use the SMART goal setting framework. So the goals that you set should be specific. Think about details, not just, it's great to think big picture, but think about the details of what exactly that goal looks like. These goals should be measurable. So how are you going to know when you have achieved your goal? On that note, they should also be achievable. Again, pie in the sky, big picture dreams are great, but sometimes those need to be broken down into more manageable chunks in order to get there. They should also be realistic. We, again, want to dream big, and you can do a lot that you put your mind to, but think realistically about where you are right now, and especially in thinking about the next 6 months and 1 year, think realistically about, all that you want to accomplish, but realistically what you'll be able to accomplish. And finally, they should be timely or time-oriented. So I've kind of provided that context for you. We're thinking specifically right now about the next 6 months and 1 year. So that said, if we were in a normal workshop together, I would give everyone some time to work on this on their own. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to encourage you to pause the video here, take a few minutes, and consider what your goals for the next 6 months and 1 year are. And again, remember, we're thinking not just about finances particularly, but we will talk about how that kind of all gets tied together. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully you paused and thought a little bit about your goals for the next 6 months and 1 year. And so hopefully you have those sitting in front of you. And I want you to start considering your current situation. In thinking about your situation, whatever that might be, let's think about where you are and what is needed to get you to where you want to be in 6 months or 1 year. So some questions that I have posed here, and then thinking about how the stimulus check could kind of play a role in answering these questions or in thinking about where you're going to be in the next 6 months or 1 year. Some things I would challenge you to think about is your current housing situation. So are you currently staying in a facility or in a program? If so, I imagine that one of your goals for the next 6 months or a year would likely be to move out on your own. So think about how you could use part of the stimulus check to save for a security deposit or your first month's rent. That's not something that you're going to be spending this money on tomorrow, but 6 or 8 months down the road, you might really want to have some of that money in your pocket for that. So something to think about. Another thing to think about, and that we have seen a lot kind of stand as a barrier between obtaining employment or housing, is folks who have outstanding debt. So do you have old tickets that you need to pay that's standing in the way of getting your license renewed or even your ID renewed, or preventing you from opening a bank account? Do you have any of those debts that you can start kind of making payments on with this unexpected money? That's kind of a good starting place too. And kind of on that note, another thing to think about is, do you have a bank account? Sometimes you might need a little nest egg of money to open a bank account, a checking or a savings account. And this could be a really good opportunity to set aside a couple $100s to get a bank account started. So I would encourage you to think about that. And then the last thing I really want you to think about is, how do you take care of yourself and your loved ones? So again, as I said earlier, this is kind of an unexpected, little bit of an exciting silver lining in the midst of all of the chaos that we are experiencing right now. And so I want you to know that it's okay to think about doing something for yourself and the people that are important to you. So, in all honesty, that was kind of one of my first thoughts, is how am I going to treat myself with this unexpected payment. And again, kind of, I want to give you permission to know that that's okay. But, as the old saying goes, don't spend all your money in one place. So if you spend a little bit of it on something that brings you joy, or taking care of family or friends, and if that provides relief to you, that's something that is also important to think about. So there's no necessarily right or wrong way to spend this check that you're going to receive, but I do want you to consider, especially in the next few weeks before that money hits your bank account or before you get that check in your hand, to start really thinking about a plan. It's a lot easier to think about this objectively before you have the money in hand. So that's why I wanted to get this information out now, and then hopefully kind of when that money comes, you'll be able to kind of budget it out wisely. I would also encourage you to share your budget or some of the thoughts that you're having with me, or if you're watching this and you're in a different Back on My Feet chapter, share it with your local staff or share it with your friends or family so people can hold you accountable too. And that's kind of a good starting place for budgeting too, is to have that accountability. And as always, if you have questions or concerns, reach out to me or again to your local staff if you're watching this in a different city. And I just wanted to wrap up with some reminders that I think you all know. If you're in DC watching this, you're getting our weekly emails and our Facebook posts and all of that. But wanted to just provide some reminders that you're not alone. Back on My Feet is here, even though we can't be circling up, and we really miss that. We are here to support you in whatever way you need. And so please do not hesitate to reach out. I know most of you were already in touch with via email and Facebook and the phone, but please call us or text us anytime. And also just reminding you that you're resilient. This is a weird, unprecedented time for the entire world, but all of us in our individual lives have gotten through stuff that we didn't know we could handle, and I think that that's going to continue to be the case. Is we're going to continue to learn how strong each of us are, and so even as some of the individual days might be hard, I hope that you know that you are resilient and that you can handle this, and we are here for you. And as I said at the beginning, here are a few resources for stimulus check eligibility overview and how to obtain that if you just kind of have some questions. And then also here's a link to some resources for unemployment benefits. Again, that was a part of this CARES Act, was expanding access to unemployment, because that's the reality for many, many people these days. So there's some information there, and again, reach out to any of the DC staff if you have questions about that. And then a final note, we miss you all a lot, and we are so ready to be back at our morning circle, but in the meantime, we will keep in touch in whatever way that we can, and I hope you're all staying healthy and safe. So again, reach out to me with questions, and I will hope to talk to you all soon.